I say the adults, there's also the space for industries that are looking to just have a timeout to go and get some adrenaline through their system and significantly relax. Because if you race, it's sort of like a way to sort of relieve stress. So I wouldn't know where to really start from, because if I start, I would just I could spend the whole day talking about it.
You've definitely shown tremendous passion for this sport, by the way. Well, I'm sure you guys have other questions as well. Wale,
I understand Philip Garner is coming through.
Oh, yeah.
So how big of a deal is that? I know that is one of the best around. So how important is that for us? And there's also the tendency to see this as an elitist thing.
Well,
motorsport, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
golf is elitist. It's a people's game, polo as well. But what is the general outlook for XKart in Nigeria? Is it elitist or is it for all comers? It
is promising. You can't particularly say, it's elitist or it's for the commoners, but there's a space for everyone. You understand? So I wouldn't like to use that word, because we have participators, we have sponsors, we have spectators.
You have technical teams. The mechanics who are working on all these cars as well.
So if you look at it this way, we import a lot of our cars, right? Or most of the car manufacturers generally, they all assemble their cars. But the truth about it is, what a lot of people don't really understand, I don't mean by you when I say you, what people don't see is that a lot of the things that we see in our engines today, V4, V6, V2, V12 engines, a lot of them actually get tested on the racetrack first before they get rolled out into
commercially. Yeah.
You understand? And if we truly are serious about developing our own economy inclusively, we have to also have an angle that enables the populace to sort of enjoy our development path.
I think that's where the R&D that you were talking about, that's where it comes into play. A lot of these students in engineering departments, technical school, they can also get involved as well. People, you're nodding, you have a question?
Yes, please. I was going to ask, he also talked about the fact that the cars are not made here. They are
the carts
itself. I've seen safari race in Uganda, Kenya. Are there plans to develop from the XKart into what we see in the safari angle? Yes, it's not on the normal road.
It's pretty much motocross rally, I believe.
So there's a reason why we chose this cars particularly. They are simple. It's a frame, wheels, and an engine at the back. It has to be simple enough for the simple mind and the intelligent mind to be able to comprehend putting it apart and putting it back together. Or somebody, the cars are so simple that I think that we can just get any particular person that is mechanically inclined to sort of basically fashion the parts and get an engine from maybe a 200cc motorcycle or a 200cc keke napep or a 200cc vehicle. Or we could even get maybe a company like Nord or Innoson or whatever it's to actually build us a 200cc engine, and we just mount it on the frame. It's simple. If you look at it generally, it's just basically a cage, and the whole idea is that it has to be simple. The entry has to be the word affordable and attractive, you understand, to both the creme de la creme of society and also the general masses as well.
Okay, so you have an event coming up pretty soon. Want to tell us about that?
Oh, yes. Okay, so we have, our next event is actually happening on the 30th of March. Next weekend.
Just a few days.
Yeah, just a few days. And it's happening at the Ondo Auto Rally.
Okay.
Right, and there's a couple of races that is happening, but one of the key major events is the XKart racing series. And our plan, we are going to have 10 race teams having 10 different race carts on that day, and each race team, and the whole idea is the whole team, they're all going to be racing for the prize. One of the things as well that we did for this series is because it has to be sustainable, it has to be backed with money. So we, the sponsors and the promoters, we decided to say, okay, whatever it is we have to do, we have to back it up with some incentive to ensure that people are always encouraged to actually come and race. And when you race, you only don't just leave with a cup and a medal, but you also leave with something for your race team.
That's prize money?
Yes, exactly. Okay. To look forward towards the next race team. And what we were actually fortunate. The first race that happened in February at the Work and Play Race Arena, we gave race prizes to the winners, first, second, and third. And the next race that we're having in Ilaramokin, we actually got some funding from a foundation, Mao funding, and that helped us actually double the race win prize. And the goal is that we want to develop the sports, And to develop the sport, we have to also be able to encourage the racers
and
the participants.
Put on excellent incentives for people who want to participate and who want to even watch, come and watch.
Yes, exactly. Okay. We are thinking of building future racing drivers. We want to get to the point where people see a career in motor racing. We want to have the next Nigerian Lewis Hamilton and all that. Okay. Our model is fashioned after F1, but it's just off-road and it's basically karts. And our races are like 35 to 45 laps, right? And each racetrack, the Work and Play Race Arena racetrack is 1.3 kilometers in length. You know, it has 4 straights and 6 curves. And the Smoking Hills racetrack at Ondo has basically, I think it has about 7 straights and 8 corners. Okay. And the goal is that, and so that means each one of them 1.6, so you're going to be doing about 50 kilometers, you understand, through the whole race. And it's going to be intensive because you're going to basically have to deal with the elements as well. Okay. There are pit stops. There are, there's just...
And there are, of course, the undulating terrain as well. Yes, so that's something really exciting, really challenging. So we'll definitely be keeping our eyes on the XKart race series coming up Easter weekend, end of this month. Mr. Bukish Feishiton, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me.
Talking passionately about the sport. And hopefully we'll be getting you more on the show quite regularly to talk more about this as it continues to develop. And hopefully probably talk about even the future of motorsport racing in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you've been watching, you're still watching Game On. We'll be speaking with Mr. Feishiton, who is the founding partner of the XKart race series.